Welcome to today's edition of my Career Drive Life. If we haven't met, my name is Ladijia. I'm a career coach and I specialize in, I'm focused on helping motivated, ambitious mid to senior level professionals who want to land high paying, amazing jobs, land those jobs using a structured, proven job search process without having to go through a protracted, tedious job search. That's who I am. That's what I do. And here on my Career Drive Live, which by the way happens same time, Thursday weekly, 12 noon West African time, I share tips and strategy for mid to senior level professionals who are in the process of growing their careers and changing jobs. Right. So this week we're talking about career change. It's a hot topic. I mean, increasingly, people are looking at their options and saying, all right, so what next? I need a change. Might be for different reasons. I want to earn more money, or I want to finally do what I've always dreamt of doing, or I've relocated. There are many reasons why you would want to change careers. Now, one common myth, right, is that career transitions are for younger people. Not necessarily. In fact, the very first thing I'm going to tell you about career change is it's not too late and you are not too old. There's this thing about, oh, I've been doing this for so long. How can I've invested 20 years here or 30 years here. And therefore, it'll be like losing everything and starting from scratch. No, not really. There are ways to approach it. So first thing, get it out of your head. You're not too old and it's not too late. All right. You need to really take that mindset, that fear out of your head. The only person that can stop you is you. It is your beliefs, as you know, that will ultimately drive your outcomes. Now, yes, the world is, filled with much younger people, workplaces filled with much younger people. The millennials are taking over leadership positions. Yes, we know that. Yes, we know that there seems to be a bias, right, for younger people and more recent skill sets. True. However, on the other hand, retirement age is going up, right? We've moved from the economies where brawn, right, determined how long you lasted in the workforce. We work in knowledge economies all over the world. As long as your brain is working, right, and you stayed learning, you can certainly bring value. Also, your experience can be a huge, huge bonus if you don't let it stop you. And I would show you, ways in which you can let your experience stop you. But workplaces increasingly are in need of proven, tested, experienced professionals who know how to do the work, who understand, how to run processes, how to manage, a workplace, who have, succeeded in other areas. Your experience can be a bonus. In fact, a huge bonus if you know how to work it. Now, I wouldn't be here talking to you if I myself hadn't, made several changes. Both, in fact, the changes I made early career, I made, made a change. Mid career, I made a change. Much later, also I made a change. In fact, the fact that I'm sitting out here talking to you is a reflection of a change I decided to make last year. Yes, it was last year that I decided, you know what, I'm going to focus. I was in consulting, HR consulting, and I said, what my real burning passion, right? Beyond, yes, we want to help businesses succeed. But I just looked at myself and I said, look, for me, I want to be able to count the value of my contribution in number of individual lives changed, touched. How many people like me can I help, to find work that they enjoy, to earn what they need to earn. So I just made that change. it's possible, right? And it's working so far, right? So it's possible, it's doable, and you can do it. So conquer your fear. Now, one thing you must bear in mind, especially for us, those of us in our 40s who are a little older, we have families, we have people who are used to seeing us a certain way, people who depend on us, right? For various things. The minute you come and say, I want to change the way I earn a living, especially the people who depend on you, might view it as a threat. Even the people who don't depend on you, they'll be like, you, how can you do that change? You know, at this age, don't let them stop you. There'll be many naysayers, but as long as you are clear in your mind, right, of where you're going, ignore the naysayers and, focus on your plan. When we turn to your support network, of course, you will need support to navigate this change, as we do for all major life changes, right? It would be your immediate family, those who depend on you for make care and financial sustenance. It could be your colleagues or business associates, or just people with whom you have partnerships in different areas of your lives. You have to prepare these people, right, so that they can support you. For instance, your job change might entail a reduction in income, right? Aside from your own, or let me budget and cut back, the people who are going to be impacted by it need to be prepared. So prepare, the people you support, and also get allies who will support you through this change, right? So those are some of the fundamental, in the personal change management things and mindset that you need to bear in mind, right? Having covered that, let me go to point number 2, right? Always start with why, right? Because the why is what keeps you going when the going gets tough. Not to be too trite, but really, the if when you understand why you're doing something, right, it goes into creating a very clear vision, and that's what keeps you going, right, through the difficult parts. So to discover your why for, you know um do you want to make a career change, and what specific career change should you make? First, what you need to do is really interrogate your own needs. Why are you making this change? Why do you need this change, right? um what do you enjoy? Why do you want to change? What must you have in this new business or career that you want to switch into? What do you absolutely not want? What are your passions? What are your dreams? What kind of people would you like to serve? What kind of people would you like to work with? Where, would you like to do this work? Most importantly, what are you willing to give up? Because let's not sugarcoat it. Every change requires sacrifice. You will need to sacrifice time, energy that you would put in other things into making this change? Are you willing to sacrifice your nights and weekends studying to build up your skill levels? Are you willing to sacrifice compensation, how much you are earning, right? If breaking into the new area requires a reduction in costs, what are you willing to sacrifice? So, in taking people through this discovery, or I call it your career change, creating, doing the groundwork before you create your career change strategy. It's a realistic self review, which I do with my coaches, and I can do with you. I run these, self discovery sessions. We use a varying number of tools, right? Both for self analysis, right? Self discovery, and for interest discovery, and for setting direction. I want to share a couple of free tools with you. One way in which you can discover your purpose or discover your why is to use what's called the Ikigai method. It's a Japanese method. If you Google it, you will read it. That was slightly modified, right, to for use in discovering life purpose, right? And career or business purpose. There are many, free Ikigai frameworks and tools online, but here's one I recommend, because I mean, it's a test, so it takes you through it step by step, and it gives you kind of an analysis of what your, your inner motivators are, right? So there it is. I will also leave the link in the comments below this video. So that's one. A second resource which I also use with my clients is 16personalities.com. It's a personality profiling tool, and what I like about it is how it looks at you holistically, right? It looks at your interests, your motivations. It then scopes how do you like to work, what types of work would appeal to you based on the interest that you have placed in there. Now there's a paid version, and there are many of these free tests, but however, what happens is that the free version is usually almost useless. It's so light as to be almost useless. But I really like 16 personalities one, because it's still, even though it had the free version, you're using the free version, it gives you enough, right? Well, to start with, to work with. And right, so you can also use that as well. Now these are just what we call analysis tools. We then take the data from this, right, and I walk you through a structured process, just interrogating your whys. And you can also do that by yourself. The most important point to take away from this is you must know your why. Okay, so let me go to point 3. What do you have? Too many people approach change, right? Or setting their goals or entering into a situation from the point of view of, or focusing on what they do not have. If you focus on what you do not have, it tends to get magnified to the point where you get paralyzed and not able to take action. The more effective way to do this is to focus on what you do have. If you're Christian, I'm sure you're familiar with the question, what do you have in your hands? Because it's what you bring that you can then take and grow and enhance, to make that leverage to get to where you're going. So what do you have? In answering the question, what do you have, right? You're looking at what skills, what abilities, what competencies, what qualifications, what experience have you garnered so far? Do a comprehensive, audit of that, a listing of that, right? Then, in looking at those, you need to identify your transferable skills. Transferable skills are like, a core set of capabilities that you have, foundational really, that can be applied to a wide range of different jobs and industries, right? Essentially your workplace skills like problem solving, like communication, like people management skills, like relationship management, like analytical thinking. There are many where you interrogate the things that have driven your success and gotten you to where you are. Very many of those are actually transferable. Identify them. Once you've identified them, your next step is to then say, therefore, where I'm going, you cast what you have against where you need to go, right? Which of these skills are transferable to my new direction, right? And then where are the gaps? So what do I have and what don't I have, right? So a tool, I mean, this is the way I guide my coaches through doing that is I ask them to, okay, you've identified what you would like to do, right? Go and look for job ads, 3 job ads of positions you would really like to be in. Look at them and aggregate what the key requirements that are common to all 3. That gives you a basis to work from. You take those key requirements that are common to all 3. Then you cast your own self, that's your skills, your capabilities, your competencies, against it. That will immediately show you what you have, and it will show you the gap. Another tool, I like tools. So I love to share tools. Another tool you can consider using is the it's a LinkedIn feature in development, right? That's the link there. I would also include it in the comments below. It's called the Career Explorer, and what it does is you put in what you're doing now, and it shows you and where you'd like to go. It even goes ahead and shows you um related job roles, right? And it analyzes for you what the match your skills matches are, what the gaps are, right? And shows you a development path, something like that. Now, it is based on geographical data, sadly, right? A lot of Africa, I think they have for South Africa, but they don't cover the rest of Africa really. But still, global data is still useful. And of course, that's for my viewers who are in Africa, right? Still go ahead and use it, right? The global data is still useful. You can use, that's just one of many tools that you can use. But I favor the first, find the role that you like, cast yourself against it, get your gap, right? And then once you've identified so get your similarities, be prepared to really pitch them and enhance them, and then identify the gaps. Now, once you've identified the gaps, right, it would typically be skills. And the great thing about where we are, in modern development is the internet is your university, essentially. YouTube, Udemy, even Google, right? Loads of free resources to learn all sorts of free skills as a first step, right? And you also want to consider things like, is there a certification around it? Is there a professional association that offers like development activities around those things? Then you must really research and find, where you can get this learning and do the learning. In addition, you would have to look at experience. Now, experience tends to be the biggest, quote and unquote, challenge, one of the biggest challenges, because people who are hiring tend to really want people who have relevant experience. So they're really focusing on, what have you done in the last 2 years? I usually have advised the approach of, one, you must identify people who are in that industry doing that job that you want to do. Find them and get them to mentor you. And it doesn't have to be, come and be my mentor. You can follow them from afar, or you can just, build relationship with a couple of them, or you can find their groups, right, where they discuss things related, to that area of endeavor. Or you can do all of the above. But you must absolutely, right? Because there's knowledge and then there's application. And I'm sure that real life, nothing beats real life experience, to be very honest. So you must find the people who have it, who are willing to share that expertise with you. Consider doing an internship or an apprenticeship. Find someone who does what you want to do. Offer to work for free, offer to pay. We do a pay cut. Do an internship if you can. I think that's actually the fastest way, to learn this thing. Get hands-on with it. So the best way, as I said, to learn is to do. Either speak to and follow, people who are doing, or find an opportunity to do. So we've spoken to closing the gaps for skills and for experience. I say you have to get some experience, because even if it is okay, so I had this conversation with a coach. So she was coming from customer service. She was looking to go into marketing, right? No, right. Her big dream was writing, to become a writer, business writing, business communication. And so I said to her, listen, yes, you have strong communication skills, and that's part of your skill set that you've used to succeed where you are so far. However, people remember the biggest challenge for employers is risk. So you are wonderful, you are very successful. From what you've presented and from your track record, you should be able to do it. But we're requiring very specific skills, right? And it will be a huge chance we are taking to put you in the place. You improve the quality of the argument, right? And kind of turn it again from evaluation to performance. If you can show, here are the three, four things in which I have additionally qualified myself in terms of learning to do this work. And even if it is a portfolio of just 6 months, here is actual work that I've done. So in her own instance, since it had to do with, writing and business communication, I told her some of the quick ways you can volunteer in doing that role, right, for free for an organization. Many NGOs, exist, and use some of these skills from time to time. It's a good way. You're doing the work, it's just that you're not getting paid for it, but it's a good way to find something to put on your resume. Also, there are many opportunities for internships online and offline. Also, you can do gigs, right, little projects, Upwork, online, offline, where, so for instance, um, staying with that business communication example, right? If you were doing brief content development for smaller businesses, right, on a project by project basis, in 3 to 6 months, you've built up enough evidence, and examples to show what it is that you have done. And then it makes it easier to take the chance on you, right? So as you're doing this, find ways to build, even if it is a little experience. You just need to show, a commitment to show that you have done it before in some way. Am I saying that if you do not have any experience, nobody will take a chance on you? No. But what we're talking about is make it as easy, right, to make the decision for you as you can. All right. So let me move now. So far you have identified your why, identified what exact, and based on your why, identified what exact role you want to do. You have looked at the market, right, and seen what the market is asking for from those roles. You have taken those requirements and you have cast it against your transferable skills, your experience where you are. You have identified your gaps, right, and you've identified what knowledge you need to gain and the ways in which you are going to close the gap experience wise so far, right? So your next step is to now get visible. Career change is a little different, right, from just a straightforward job change, because, and especially as an over 40, which many mid to senior level professionals are, right, because you're asking them to give you an opportunity to perform in an area where you do not have a huge track record. So they're taking a chance on you. The people more likely to do that are people who know you. What does that mean, right, for your strategy? What that means for your strategy is that you are ramping up your networking. Networking is key for most job search efforts, but most important for this type of change, right? That's one first thing I want you to bear in mind. All right. So in networking, you have to, sorry, in getting visible, right? So people know you a certain way already in the market. You have to then craft your online profiles, your resume to reflect this direction you're going in. I always tell people, for instance, for LinkedIn, your LinkedIn should speak to your future, not your past. Yes, you must demonstrate your track record. But for instance, in your headline, in your summary, in your about, right, about me, you should be speaking to where you're going and the way in which your past has equipped you uniquely for where you desire to go. Bear that in mind. So for LinkedIn, for all your online profiles, you need to adjust and be forward facing, optimize for the role you are desiring to move two, in your resume as well, the standard rules apply. Every resume must be tailored to the opportunity that you're targeting. You can't have a generic resume, right? Although you would have a baseline resume, which you then tweak to when you're pursuing specific opportunities. Now, on that resume, please put only the information that is related to the role you are pursuing and where you're going. There's no need to put your 200 years of experience. Immediately you do that, right? Someone who hasn't met you and is just saying the resume, it ages you. And yes, the sky is your limit. Age is a number. However, we must recognize that there's a very real, some people, it's not as prevalent as people think it is, but there is an age bias. And so how you tackle it is tailored information sharing. What goes on your resume is what applies to that job. Only give the information that they need to know. Another thing to do in managing for ageism, um, use, as I said, only the aspects of your experience that are directly related to the job. Try not to go too far back. I wouldn't go more than 10 years back, right? Because in any case, this is not the experience you're quoting is not exactly, directly relevant to what you're looking for, right? In many cases. So your experience that you're quoting there is just to buttress the fact of I have a track record, I've succeeded elsewhere, and I have, therefore, it's safe to assume that if I applied myself here, I would succeed similarly. So don't go back too long. Just go back enough to prove that. As I said, I don't recommend. In fact, I do 5 to 10 years maximum, right? That's one. Two, in terms of your uni, yes, by default they'll say attended uni from 1974 to 1978, because no, that's way back, but you know what I mean. See if you can leave the date off, right? On LinkedIn you can't, they require you to, but on your resume must you. There's that. And there's a way to put your educational qualifications on your resume, you know. So I'll talk about that when we talk about resume formatting. So the other thing you want to consider now, the traditional way of putting together a resume is chronological, from what I've done most recently, stretching back to what I did before, right? In that order. That doesn't quite work if the experience that you're sharing is not directly related to the opportunity, which is why a functional resume is then recommended. What a functional resume does is that it focuses on your capabilities, right? Those your core competencies that the job requires, those your transferable skills. So instead of listing I worked at Unilever from this to that, the main thrust of your CV is I have leadership skills. I've led a team of 400 people to drive an income of $5 billion in the last 3 years, because you have it and the job requires it. Strong communication skills. As a part of my last 3 or 4 roles, I have created strategy, for communicating across 3 countries, reaching 1 million people, running 10 campaigns. For people management, an example could be I have been I've run managed teams for the last 10 years, teams of varying sizes, from between 5 people to 200 people, diverse teams across countries, working both in person and virtually. The team together achieved this, and you get my drift. So your resume is really pushing your capabilities, not the job roles. You will still list job roles, but you will de-emphasize them. And there are many templates for that. But what I've found, right, is many recruiters kind of struggle. They still want to see that chronological thing. So now I recommend that people do, after all, a resume is just essentially, right, it's a sales, call it a flyer. Think of it like a flyer. You can pretty much, right, put whatever sales message you want to put on it. If you think about it like that, your resume, can then be a hybrid. It's a combination resume. It's a hybrid between functional and chronological. So yes, you would emphasize your skills, but then you also give the recruiter, what they need to know when they're asking the question, what has this person been doing in the last 5 years? Can I see career progression, etc.? All right. So I will not go in further detail into that. But what I will do is share a free resource with you that will actually walk you through the process. On Indeed, I found a great resource actually that walks you through creating a hybrid resume. And I will also drop this link in the comments below. So far, we are walking through your career change, right? We have discovered your why, discovered what you'd like to do, discovered what is needed for what you'd like to do, discovered your gaps. We've identified what you need to learn, how you will gain the experience, and how you will package yourself anew to face the market, right? So let me move to the next item. Your next item would then be, we're thinking tactics now. You have to realistically map the size and the path of your change, right? Some changes are larger or bigger than the others. And of course, the bigger the change, right, the longer it takes to make the change and the more difficult it is, right? So the more drastic the change, the longer it could be, the more difficult it could be. The change can be made, but it's important to. So what we're doing is kind of, really, really examining the change so that we can have the right adjust our expectations properly, but also understand what are our options in terms of tactics. Now, let me make this a bit more clear. So let's say I wanted to move from, I'm tired of doing sales. That's very, that's something that a request I get all the time. Oh, I'm tired of doing sales. I want to move to HR, or I want to move to operations. Your first question you can ask yourself is, can I make the change within the organization where I currently work? That's the first and easiest change to make. You know why? Where you work, they know you already. You've proven yourself. So you're not selling who I am. If they know you, you've been great at what you do, the chances of them being willing, right, to give you the opportunity to then, prove yourself in another capacity are much higher, right? And the chances of getting willing, collaborative bosses to support you to make that change are higher. So that's the first consideration. Can I do it where I am currently? However, it may be that there's no vacancy, right? There's no vacancy in that function where you are at yet. The next thing you could ask yourself is, are there organizations that know me where that could be an option? You of course have to consider the ethics of your move as you're determining how to go. So don't go and do it with a competitor, right? And if it's a client organization you're considering approaching, you must clear it with your boss first. But yes, you're looking at companies where they know you. Some people even end up with people who were their suppliers. Excuse me. So people with whom you've had a professional relationship, who have seen you prove yourself, would be your first, when you do your first scan of your network, right? The next one could be, okay, so if you can't do it at your organization and you can't do it with customers, suppliers, can you do it in the same industry? Not direct competition, unless you can get the agreement of where you work, because ethical considerations plus relationship considerations. Let's try not to burn bridges, if we can help it. But within the same industry, well, since it's not the same function, it might be, I mean, it's probably easier to make the pitch. But within the same industry, again, they would know you, you would have a reputation. Within then the next, bigger change is the same market. So not at my current organization, not in my current industry, right? I can be in my same current industry, but I want to break into a new market. This applies to many, people I've coached in terms of they've moved from one country to another, a new geographical market, right? Or sometimes it could just be a new business sector. So those are sometimes it will be both. You're changing, you get into a new geographical market, you look around, what you used to do doesn't maybe pay as much, or doesn't really, is not really required in this market. Therefore, you need to consider your options as to, so what openings are there, and what are my transferable skills, and how do I get hired here? Those are possible, different possible paths, but you actually have to think about it, to be able to outline or accordingly outline your tactics. Another one you could consider is, can I serve the same customer types? If I was a salesperson, right, and I used to sell technology to manufacturing, can I now sell HR? So, because the customers, remember, you're looking for people who know you and trust you, right? So the risk of giving you a chance is reduced. All right, I think I've covered that quite thoroughly. Let me just move very quickly to the next one. Let's talk about what are the possible entry points. Right. So typically, these are places in which there's really high demand, such high demand, and not so much supply of experienced, proven talent, so that they are more willing, right, to give career changers a chance. Sales always, always, always needs people, because you see the core skills in sales are to a large extent transferable. Yes, they might, you might need to learn the technical around prospecting, account management, but the fundamental things, communications, being able to manage relationships, being able to influence people, they're fundamental. Being results oriented, they're fundamental. So sales is one place that they're always looking for people, always. Another one is consulting, because your experience, where you're coming from, there are many people out there, businesses that need that kind of that experience that you have, that you can consult for. But of course, that's something that, oh yeah, I didn't quite cover it here, but let me just tell you. So when you're making a change, one of the challenges I see is that people want, I'm in a steady job now. Let's say I work for a multinational, right? And I want to make a career change because it's my passion. You may not find that opening in another multinational. You have to be open to working for yourself, doing contract based work, right? So there's that thing of, to what extent are you willing to really take a risk, certainty versus uncertainty? If you are waiting for, oh, it absolutely has to be secure in the way that I'm used to it, you may spend a long time on that search. Okay, having made that point, let me go back to consulting. Consulting typically, the consulting firms tend to hire young and quickly train analysts, because the entry level in consulting is very grueling work. So they take young intakes, train them, and work them, and then by the time they get to mid level, those people then, the it's like a funnel. The number then reduces. A lot of them go out into the industry, so only a few are moving along the pipeline. If you say you want to go and work for a consulting firm, what you bring with you is your experience and your networks and your relationships, right? But you must be prepared to start at a lower level um than than you are currently at, but it's absolutely doable. And I would say consulting firms, and try smaller businesses also. So here's the thing, you go to them with what you have in exchange for what they can do for you. For instance, one of the changes I made was I moved from sales and marketing leadership, right, into HR consulting. At the time, the consulting firm, the HR consulting firm that took me on, really, really, really needed, you know, a market facing lead, someone who understood sales, marketing, managing key customer relationships to provide leadership for, their clients facing consultant team. I had been selling technology, managing key relationships for ages, and I was interested enough, right, to to um I was interested enough to be willing to, make the sacrifice of learning quickly what their business was about and stepping into it. What they gave me in exchange was the opportunity to learn HR consulting upfront. So there was that exchange. Another one would be like that client I was referring, coach I was referring, and coachee I was referring to, who wanted to move from customer service operations to, communication industry. I said to her, one, what you have is a sound knowledge of customer service, of operations, of systems, of processes working together, right, to deliver excellent service. That's something, because a lot of the communication companies in your market tend to be small to mid-sized businesses. That's something that you can go and offer them, that they would be looking for, because medium-sized businesses looking to grow are always looking for people who can structure. So identify clearly what it is you bring that they want. It's like trade by barter, right? That's one approach to it. So consulting, smaller businesses, there's also training. You've done something over and over before. So you have both head knowledge and practical knowledge. Who better to train it than you? Training is another one. Coaching, like I'm doing now, one of the things that qualified me for this type of coaching that I'm doing is that I've spent years recruiting, right? So I know how it works. Other, of course, the standard growth areas, everybody knows now they are growing. You would need new skills for them, though. Things like social media management, data analytics, digital marketing. An old staple that is still current is project management, right? Those are skills you can acquire quickly. And business analytics, you go, if you're able to make the sacrifice to acquire them, what differentiates you is that you have experience, right, delivering other things, and then you have these new skills bolted on top. You are almost irresistible, right? Especially to people who are growing in your space. So it's a matter of strategy. Other things, market research. One big one, translator or language teacher. So it depends. There are very many, possible entry points. It depends on where you're going, but and what value you're bringing and who you want to serve. Okay, so that I wanted to make sure we cover that. Having thought through all these things, now you must create your plan. What's your plan? A lot of people say, I want to change job, but it's very important to have a plan. But not only to have a plan. So your plan is, why am I doing what I'm doing? Which I've actually walked you through. This is the planning process I'm walking you through now, right? Why am I making this change? What change exactly am I making? How am I making this change? Who do I need? Who can help me? Who do I need to connect to? Who can open the door? When must I do each thing? You must have a smart plan in place that you are following. Don't do it in your head, right? But beyond this standard plan, you must also then, as you've laid out the plan, anticipate the journey. Place yourself as you're walking through the journey. What challenges are you likely to face? When you face those challenges, what will you do? Kind of like scenario planning, right? Right. You must, the struggles you are likely to face, learning, ageism, new networks, interviewing your skills, selling yourself, those things. And most importantly, track where you can get an accountability partner or a coach. All right. So Again, let me share a resource that you can use to, in addition to, of course, watching this broadcast, to as a checklist to in creating your plan. Again, I will put the link below, but this is a really great checklist, by the way. Found it on Microsoft. Great checklist to use to create your career change plan. Once you have done your plan, make that move. That's somewhere else where people tend to fail. They spend too much time planning. Don't do analysis by paralysis. Yes, carefully create your plan, but then you must have a bias for action. You must take action. Don't get stuck, right, in planning or paralyzed by the size of the change. Take small steps daily. Okay, I've decided I want to be a digital marketer. Where are the free digital marketing courses? Who is the digital marketer I can follow? Do you understand? Take small steps daily. Don't let one day pass without taking a step. One other thing you should consider is your ultimate aim may be, I want to be that digital marketer, but consider in between roles, especially if the gap between where you are, right, and where that thing is huge. So let me use another coach I was talking to, who had, a great track record running his own business, by the way, right, in real estate development. He had developed and delivered estates in Nigeria, in the Middle East, and all that, but then had to relocate. He had a background in IT, and was really interested, or is really interested, in cybersecurity because of the potential earning power. He had taken some certifications, but then you arrive in a new market, you're doing a scan, right, of the environment, and you want to get into cybersecurity, and then you realize you have to first get in at the ground floor. You cannot, no matter, even if you have 200 years of experience, if it's not directly related and it's in a different market, as this was the case, you must then find the feeder roles. So we analyzed it together, and I said, listen, if you want to leverage, I've had years of experience, you will target the real estate industry because you have a track record and references there. If you say, okay, it has to be IT because of the earning power that I don't want to do real estate here, I want to make a change, you can consider IT sales also as a first step, right? At least that gets you into the IT. Then you can change track. Or if you insist that, okay, is this cyber security, what are the entry level roles? You must be willing to start from there. Now, it's not the same with everybody. Each situation is different. But what I'm saying essentially is you must be ready to take an in-between role, as part of your path towards where you are going, right? In terms of making that change. All right. And of course, brace up. It's going to be a ride, a real ride. And I'm sure that, all I have said so far has outlined, it's going to be a journey, but it's doable and you can do it, and loads of people are doing it, right? Now, the funny thing is that the point of failure for many mid to senior level people, especially people above 40, right, in terms of career transition or ability to work after a certain age, it's not the age, it's health. That's the leading reason why, middle age to older people cannot continue work. It's not old age, or it's not age, it's health. If you're going to be making a change, two things: your mind must be geared up and healthy, and ready, right, to take the knocks, because there will be no's before you get to yes. So resilience is important. But beyond that, get healthy. It does several things for you. Aside from, yes, it prolongs life. But if you're fit, then you can minimize concerns around age risk, right? Also, change your mindset. you must understand the kind of mindset that you need to bring to the table if you're going to be working with increasingly younger teams. So get fit in health, get your passion up, get your resilience boots on, right? I've covered prepare your support system. The people who are going to be affected by this change, prepare them, right? The people who you support, but also get allies, whether it is a coach, whether it is your close friends, right? Who are going to, you know, motivate you, hold you accountable, track you as you go through this journey. And then you must consider financial management. Of You've seen that many of the scenarios I've given, at first there may be a reduction in income. Therefore, do you have plans for cutting back, for streamlining your expenses until you get back to your current earning level and go beyond it? It first drops for a lot of people before it increases. For some people, it increases straight off. But these are things you have to, consider as you're bracing up, right? So get ready. And last but not least, get help, right? Based on all I've described to you, the journey so far, it's not something you can do alone. Even if it is getting your friend to hold you accountable, or if it is finding a mentor or a coach or a champion, right? And as I said, mentors do not have to be, oh, come and be my mentor. You could be, following someone from a distance, right? But in this case, because of the nature of the journey, I strongly recommend you get a mentor and get accountability partners, get the training, educate yourself. One big thing that helps is when you can find a community of people focused on the same thing, right? Human beings, we learn best and we do the most when we're doing it with other people, right? So that's really, really important. um for instance, in my journey, i have I have one of the groups that I found most useful, funny enough, is a group of coaches that they're actually focused on, you know, coaching on a different target market. But I love the group they've created. I got added to it, one of them just added me, and it has been one of the most valuable um experiences for me because even though a lot of the time the subject matter is different, but we kind of have the same struggles. And so we share resources. You can always reach out and ask a question. You need that help. So find maybe other people who are, going through transition. That's one. Or find other people who are learning how to code, as an example, learning that thing that you want to do. But, find a community. Biggest, tap into your network, and then deliberately and strategically grow your network, because your network is what's going to eventually is what's going to enable this change. All right, so I mean, this is it. Essentially, I think I've given you like a really comprehensive way to look at it and plan it. I will provide the resources, the free resources, in the links the links in the comments below. And I also like to invite you, right, to a free discovery session. This is what I do, and I do. My clients will tell you I do it quite well. If you're looking to make a career transition and would like, partnership, we can either go the whole journey, or we can start by, let's first scope the change, work together to create a plan, and then we move it step by step there. Reach out, and book. Oops, I missed this. I'm so sorry. I missed this. Great. So I missed the comments, but thank you to everyone who made comments. Patrick, thank you. Engineer Akinyola, thank you. Onome, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. All right, so reach out, and it's on my profile. Go to my Calendly link and book a free discovery session. I'd be happy to speak with you. I'm just trying to find the Calendly link. If not, it's on my profile on LinkedIn, or just send me a DM and I'm glad to share it. So that's it for this week. Next week, I'm bringing someone who has done this career transition across industries, right, and across markets. And so Canada, to be precise. And so, yeah, I know you want to hear that. Take care and goodbye. Bye.